A transfer in football is something very common nowadays. Whether the fee is just a couple of euros and some training materials, or over 200 million euros, players are expected to deliver and justify the investment the club had made on them. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. However, as a football player, if things don't work out the way you expected, you can just move on and find another place to thrive. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case. And today, we'll be looking at 10 transfers that completely ruined football careers. Number 10, Cristiano Ronaldo to Manchester United. One of the greatest players of all time, and the first inclusion on this list because there's still hope for the Portuguese GOAT. CR7 has had one of the best careers of all time, winning 5 Champions Leagues, 2 trophies with Portugal, and a total of 7 league titles. After a spell in Italy playing for Juve, Ronaldo decided to go back home to United. Influenced by his mentor Sir Alex Ferguson, Ronaldo rejected the Man City transfer move and settled at the Old Trafford. He played well during the first season, finishing third in the top goalscorer list, carrying Man United through a very unstable season, which they had 3 different managers. Sadly, the second season, or should I say the half season that he played, was the worst of the Madeira-born player. Ronaldo missed the preseason and didn't have time to adapt to Erik ten Hag's new style of play. He was benched in a majority of games, and walked out in a couple more, and left with a bang, criticizing the whole structure of a club in a very controversial interview. He is, at the time of this video, unemployed. Let's hope he can get himself back up and finish his career with the dignity he deserves. Number 9, Alexander Hleb to Barcelona. The former Arsenal midfielder was one of Pep Guardiola's first signings when he made the move to Camp Nou in 2008. There were high expectations of the Belarusian when he arrived because in his time at Arsenal he was a skillful player who could take defenders out of a game with a drop of the shoulder or a quick shift of his feet, and was also a decent passer of the ball. He would finish his first season at Barca as a treble winner, but had very little impact on his club's achievements. Despite having a lot of opportunities, playing a total of 34 matches in his first season, he never seemed to impress Pep Guardiola due to his laziness and unwillingness to learn and adapt to a new style of play. He was loaned out 3 times before leaving Barcelona permanently in a move to Krylia Sovetov. He had spells in Turkey, Belarus, and Russia before finishing his career in 2019. Number 8, Jackson Martínez to Atletico Madrid. Jackson Martínez was amongst the most wanted strikers in Europe after his incredible spell with Porto, but a big money move to Atletico Madrid didn't bring the impact everyone expected, and his career went downhill from that point on. Midway through his first campaign with Atletico, he suffered a serious ankle injury while playing for Colombia, one that would go on to damage the rest of his career. After just 3 goals for Atletico after his €35 million move in 2015, Diego Simeone quickly moved him on to Guangzhou Evergrande. Just as he was picking up form for Guangzhou, he suffered another ankle injury that kept him out for 2 years. It was an even worse spell, managing just 16 appearances in China. He returned to Portugal to play for Portimonense, but despite showing some glimpses of his goal-scoring ability, he was unable to show anything near the form he had in his time with Porto. Number 7, Emmanuel Petit to Barcelona. An important piece of both France's 1998 World Cup and Euro 2000 squad, the defensive midfielder was enjoying a good spell at Arsenal, at the time coached by Arsène Wenger. However, pressured by his ex-wife and a gut feeling that Arsenal wasn't counting on him for the future, led the Frenchman to accept a contract from Barcelona. At Barcelona, he was moved back into defense and suffered a rash of niggling injuries. As a result, he failed to settle and could not hold on at regular place. After a terrible first season in Spain, he was linked with many clubs in the Premier League, eventually going to Chelsea. He managed to get some of his form back, but the injuries kept coming back, which ultimately led to his release in 2004 and his retirement in 2005. Number 6, Fernando Torres to Chelsea. A fast clinical striker who, if it wasn't for Messi and Ronaldo, would have won the Ballon d'Or in 2008. Torres joined Chelsea after 2 successful spells at Atletico Madrid and at Liverpool. With Drogba nearing the end of his career, Torres was an ideal replacement as a focal point of the attack, albeit in a less physical and more pace-oriented style. It never played out that way though, as Drogba persisted as the main man regardless of Torres' huge price tag. Torres made his Chelsea debut on the 6th of February 2011 in a 1-0 home defeat to former club Liverpool, and inexplicably took until 23rd of April that year to score his first and only goal of the season. As time progressed, the striker's lack of confidence became abundantly clear, and his record of 20 league goals in 110 appearances only serves to embody his struggles. He did have a great moment though, scoring a late goal to put Chelsea in the 2012 Champions League final, which they would go on to win. He never fully came back after his time playing for the Blues, going on to play for AC Milan, Atletico again, and finishing his career in Japan, aged 35. Number 5, Alexis Sanchéz. After stints at Udinese and Barcelona, Sanchéz was killing it at Arsenal. He was once the darling of the Emirates and was well on his way to becoming an Arsenal legend. In 2018, he was one of the hottest commodities in football, so after a battle between City and United, he was eventually bought on a swap deal with Henry Mkhitaryan by the Red Devils. After all the hype and expectations, to say that Sanchéz flopped at United would be an understatement. In over 2 seasons, he scored just 5 goals in 45 matches. He then went on to play for Inter and Marseille, where he's currently at, but hasn't been able to reach the levels he did while playing for the Gunners. Number 4, Mario Balotelli to Liverpool. The most promising Italian player of the late 2000s, Super Mario was the star at a very young age. Before he was even 20, he was already a very important figure for Inter, and his success continued with his move to Man City. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows at the end, though. He had many arguments with Mancini, City's head coach at the time, and was sold to his childhood club, AC Milan. He actually performed well at the San Siro, and it seemed like the trouble he had with the citizens was nothing but a little bump on the road to success. So after seeing the impressive numbers the forward was boasting, Liverpool decided to choose him as a future replacement to Luis Suarez. Sadly, things did not go as planned as he scored 1 Premier League goal for the Reds and Brendan Rodgers' team hit rock bottom that season. Nowadays, almost 10 years after that transfer, Balotelli is 32 and has already played for 7 different clubs, never being able to leave an impact like he did in his younger days. Number 3, Eden Hazard to Real Madrid. To say that Eden Hazard lit the Premier League on fire would be the correct way of describing his time playing for Chelsea. A prolific winger who was also capable of scoring goals, there were few players who were clearly better than Hazard in the last decade. So after 7 seasons at the Stamford Bridge, Hazard finally made the dream move to Real Madrid in 2019 to be the heir to CR7's throne. Well, that dream move turned out to be a nightmare. Plagued by injuries since the beginning of his stint in the Spanish capital, Hazard has never been a top player for the Merengues, only having 14 goal contributions so far in his 4 years at Real Madrid. Number 2, Andriy Shevchenko. Chevagol, as he was dearly called, was one of the most complete strikers in football history. Being on top in an era that also had Ronaldo, Henry, Van Nistelrooy, Raul and Vieri is an incredible feat that culminated in a Ballon d'Or win in 2004. After a very successful stint at AC Milan, where he won everything that there was to win, including a Champions League and a UEFA Super Cup, he moved to Chelsea in 2006 to be the main attacking option. Things didn't go according to plan though. Drogba was at another level and Shevchenko just couldn't keep up. He scored 22 goals in 2 seasons, which wasn't too much since he had scored much more than that in a single season not too long ago. He was subsequently loaned to Milan in hopes of getting back to his old glory days, which unfortunately didn't happen, as he only scored 2 goals in the season he played for the Rossoneri. After that unsuccessful spell, he quietly retired in Ukraine, playing for his Dynamo Kiev. And number 1, Kaká to Real Madrid. One of the best players of the 2000s, and personally, my favorite midfielder as a kid, Kaká was an intelligent player that could read the game like no other and was also a great shooter. A World Cup champion, a Champions League winner, and the best player in the world in 2007, the Brazilian midfielder achieved what many could only dream of. After 2 seasons that AC Milan underperformed, Kaká moved to Real Madrid in 2009. Brought at the same time as the likes of Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Xabi Alonso, Kaká had definitely the worst time out of all of them. Kaká was never able to show the magic style of playing that he did at Milan, mainly due to injuries, and sadly, never got his form back. After that dreadful stint, he returned to his origins, playing for São Paulo and Milan before finishing his career in the US with Orlando City. From one of the top 5 best players in the world to a finished player in a matter of months, Kaká, unfortunately, had to be number 1 in this list. And that is it for the video. If you found this interesting, don't forget to subscribe. Astron FC is a new footballing channel that wants to take your footballing knowledge to the next level. I'll be releasing much more informative football content like this, but I can only improve the quality of these videos with your help. If you sticked around until this part, you're an absolute legend, and I hope the team that you support wins the league this year. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.